What is going on, guys? The Inside the Boot Podcast, episode 79. And today, breaking down the New York Rangers. Haven't talked about them nearly enough on this channel. It's been a fun start to the season, obviously. This team has had its ups and downs, but overall, a good start. 2023 was really good to this team. 25-9-1 record. They're 25-10-1 now after their 6-1 loss to the Carolina Hurricanes. That was their first loss of 2024, but breaking down 2023, the recap, a lot to be proud for this team. This team really showed that they're going to be a good team this year under Peter Laviolette. There's a lot to digest for this team. A lot of players having some good years. Alexis Lafreniere having amazing start to his season. Artemi Panarin, potential Hart candidate. He's had a really good year, one of the better players this season. We look at a guy like Vincent Trocheck. All three of those guys play in the same line, and they've all been very impactful to this team. Chris Kreider has been really good as well. He's always been a good player for this Rangers squad, and I fully expect Chris Kreider's number to be retired somewhere at the end of his career. But anyways, let's get right into it. Of course, the Rangers still sit top of the Metro with 51 points, 25-10-1 record, 51 points. One of the best teams in the entire NHL. Right atop of the league with the Canucks and Bruins. It's crazy to me that the Boston Bruins are still one of those top dogs, but Jim Montgomery has done a really good job keeping them as one of the best teams in the NHL, even after the departure of Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci. But yeah, let's get right into it. Of course, 5-point lead ahead of the Carolina Hurricanes. Not going to really break too much about that Carolina game. I mean, 6-1 loss, kind of get your butts kicked. Bad. I mean, the problem I think with this team right now, if I had to, have some pros and cons, I think the cons are that this team kind of needs more production from all four lines, in my opinion. I don't really see, I feel like the best teams get production from all four lines, and I haven't really seen that enough. I don't want to really say that they're a one-line team, but it's definitely a possibility. But yeah, I mean, with this team, I do, I like it a lot. They have a lot of skill. They got some grit to them, of course. They all, play with somewhat of an edge to their game. And, they're, still really good. They still got a 5-point lead ahead of the Carolina Hurricanes. So no issues to panic whatsoever. And, Igor Shesterkin kind of got killed in that game. Bunch of penalties in that game. Just not a recipe for success to win a game. But let's get right into it, and I think the first guy we have to talk about is Artemi freaking Panarin. All it took was this guy to just cut off his hair, and he has turned into an absolute stud. I mean, he's always been a stud for the Rangers ever since they signed him, but this guy, he's scoring at an alarming rate. His passing has been elite. And I think he's kind of been a little bit better defensively. Getting really back on the back check and, forechecking really well as well. And, he leads the Rangers in goals. He leads the Rangers in assists. And he leads them in points. What more can you ask from him? He's Artemi Panarin. This guy, he is really freaking good. And I don't really see any signs of stopping in 2024, I think we're going to obviously need really good point production in the playoffs. We know that. But anyways, his line has been really good. Alexis Lafreniere has been really good this season. And that was kind of the biggest question I had for this team overall. Wasn't how Panarin was going to play. It wasn't how Kreider or Mika or Adam Fox or Igor. It was the improvement and progress out of Alexis Lafreniere. We needed this guy to step up to the plate and play really good hockey, and he has most certainly done that. He's already got 6 points In his last 7 games, he's been killing it, and he's scoring a lot more than you know we we were used to. It's always good to get an Alexi Lafreniere goal anytime. But yeah, I mean, I think he's been really solid this year, and expect some good play out of number 13 in blue. And with Laviolette and his staff, I think one of the biggest things I see is that they are able to, develop some players. I think they're developing Lafreniere well, and I think Will Cooley's been pretty darn good, even though he's not, your guy who's going to put up 50, 60-point seasons. He's going to make a big impact on the forecheck, back check, and, even have some fights here and there. So proud of Will Cooley stepping up from Hartford, having a really good start to the year. And I'll always keep saying it with Vincent Trocheck. This guy is an absolute weapon on the face-off circle, and that's what you need from teams. You need a guy that you can just rely on to win a face-off. That's Vincent Trocheck. This guy plays the number 1 unit on the power play, and he's got some really good offensive numbers this season. And it's kind of been a big help for the power play. They've been one of the best in the league. They're over 30% this season, which is unreal. But yeah, that's the thing, is I need this team to continue playing well on the power play and strike fear into the opponents. If they can go in the power play and play how they are, if not better, nobody's going to want to take a penalty against us because it's going to be in the back of their net. And that's what the Rangers need. They need to keep scoring, keep winning hockey games, and, solidify a playoff spot, obviously, which is probably most certain. If I had to take a guess right now of playoff probability, they're most likely going to make the playoffs unless something horrific happens. But expect the Rangers in the playoffs this year once again. First year under Peter Laviolette. And another thing with Vincent Trocheck is he is on pace for 61 points this year. That was, the projection before the Carolina game. I don't know if that really changes much, but yeah, I mean, a really, really solid start. He's on pace for 64 points this season. That's what he had. That's what he had his first year. Sorry, 61 points right now. And he also, as of the game before Carolina, he had a 62.4% win percentage on the faceoff dot. That's outstanding. I mean, that is unreal. I think the only guy who also has a similar faceoff percentage is Michael McLeod from the Devils, who honestly killed the Rangers on faceoffs. He would do that weird thing where he's a righty, shot, but he would face off like he's a lefty. So I don't know. I see Nick Bonino do it. Barclay Goodrow. Sometimes Mika Zibanejad, but the Rangers have been a good face-off team, and we haven't heard that in a long time. Last time they were over 50% on the face-off dot as a team was 2008, and I think they were just above 50%. So 2008, and we're in 2024. That's a big difference. So finally, the Rangers, finally figured it out, even though it's been way too long. And I think this is going to be a key factor, when it comes to playoff time, that they can win faceoffs in their own zone, in the offensive zone, and just play well in the faceoff circle. Because if you can win faceoffs, it really helps, especially when it gets to overtime and you need that next possession, or I don't know, a big faceoff win in the D zone. A lot of different situations, and that's another thing that I like about Peter Laviolette is he's having practice like game situations. 3-on-3, 4-on-3. I don't know if I've seen that enough from other guys like David Quinn or Gerard Gallant. I really like how these practices are going. But another player who's been rather better, I'd say, except for the 6-1 skid, has been Igor Shesterkin. This is a guy that had some worries for his play because it hasn't been great. His numbers haven't been eye-opening, but they've gotten the job done, right? They've won games. And Igor Shesterkin before that Carolina game was 5-0 with a 1.58 goals against average and a 946 save percentage. Really good numbers out of those last 5 before playing against Carolina. And I'm not nearly as impressed as I thought I would be with Igor, but I think what matters to me is just wins. If he can go in and win hockey games for the Rangers, that's all I care about. I don't really care about the stats. I don't really care if he wins the Vezina this year or not. It'll be pretty hard to win the Vezina with Thatcher Demko and Jeremy Swayman and honestly even Jonathan Quick, how he's been playing, but it's tough. And the Rangers just need to roll out Igor, get his confidence, and really just play him through a stretch of games. Even though Jonathan Quick has been good, at least you know that if you want to go back to Jonathan Quick, you could expect a pretty good game out of him, right? Because he's been really good this year. I think he's only had like a few regulation losses. I know he had an overtime loss. I believe that was against the Minnesota Wild. But yeah, the Rangers have been a good overtime team as well. Only one overtime loss to their record, of course, 25-10-1 this season. Good numbers, man. That's what we need. First team to 50 points. And yeah, they've done good. But thing is with Igor, man, when this guy's hot, he's one of the best goalies in the league. I think we know that. And the Rangers need to, play well in front of him. I think that's one of the things that I, stress about when you start taking penalties and you go 5-on-4. It's hard when you play a good power play. The Rangers versed a good power play against Carolina. They were, in fact, better than the Rangers through some sort of stretch. I think it was since December. Carolina was at like 36%, and the Rangers were at 33%. Carolina's starting to play well. So definitely keep an eye out on Carolina. They're pretty healthy. Andrei Svechnikov is back. Taylor Ryan's always been good. Sebastian Aho's been red hot. And of course, their decoys is good. With Brent Burns, Jacob Slavin, Dmitry Orlov, bunch of guys. They have had some goalie issues, but I think Korchekov has been their guy that they're going to rely on. Antti Ranta has been great. But anyways, enough talking about the Carolina Hurricanes in that game. Mika Zibanejad. Mika. It's almost, in a few months, it'll be Mika March. That's when Mika really gets red hot. When it gets Mika March. Mika December is cool. But yeah, I mean, with Igor Shesterkin, just need to get him in a rhythm. But talking with Mika Zibanejad now, he's got 3 goals and 6 assists in the last 5 games prior to the game against Carolina. That's really good. This is a guy that I've, really gotten on a bit, him and Kreider, that they just need to get good production out of him. And that's what I even said about Lafreniere, because if Lafreniere can play really well this year under Panarin, relieves the stress from Kreider and Zibanejad that they need to, really have an impact on this game. Not that Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider never have an impact, because they most certainly do. Chris Kreider, one of the best players. He's got the most goals at MSG. And I think he's third. I think in goals all time for the Rangers. Got to check that stat, but it's something like that. He's a goal scorer, man. This guy is going to put up 25 goals a season. He shocked me when he put up 50. 52, I think it was. Did not see that coming at all. When I saw Chris Kreider throw up a 50 bomb, insanity. Okay, we're probably never going to get that Chris Kreider again, but everything was going for him this year. It was almost a guarantee that he was going to get a deflection goal on the power play that year. Amazing numbers out of Chris Kreider that year. But yeah, I mean, Jonathan Quick has been good. That's a good sign. It's always good when you have 2 reliable goalies, Like, honestly, another team that I can compare to that has 2 reliable goalies is the Boston Bruins. Linus Ullmark, always a staple in the crease. Jeremy Swayman, right there. Those are honestly 2 capable starting goalies that they both have on their team. You could even say like the Islanders have with Varlamov and Sorokin. That's a good duo. But Yeah, I mean, there's also just some teams where you rely on one goalie, like the Tampa Bay Lightning, or Thatcher Demko. I forgot who their backup goalie was, but yeah, that's enough talking about goalies. I guess to wrap this video up is how will we do in 2024? I think we're gonna be just as good. I think we might take a tiny step back, but not a step back where it's like, oh no, we are screwed. I don't think so. This team is red hot. We know that. And there's going to be some bumps in the road where they lose maybe two in a row, but they are one of the better teams I'm, following a loss. So, I mean, that's another situation here. They're playing the Blackhawks, playing Connor Bedard, and they're coming off a loss. And a bad loss, in fact. And they're taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. I think one of the biggest things Rangers fans can remember the last time they played the Chicago Blackhawks was the helmet throw from Jacob Trouba. Maybe we get one of those tonight. Maybe we don't. Maybe we get a fight tonight. Or we'll see how Connor Bedard does against Igor Shesterkin, because that's the man in net. I like that decision by Peter Laviolette also. Starting Igor after a bad game. Let the guy rebound. He's a good goalie when it comes to bounce backs. And then start Johnny Quick, I guess, the next game. But anyways, guys, that'll do it for the Rangers today. Of course, I enjoy talking about all three, but I feel like we have not nearly talked enough about the New York Rangers. Going to be talking about them more often as the Giants season is unfolding, and they're going to miss the playoffs this year. So, going to be talking about the Rangers and Yankees mostly now, since the Giants are kind of done. But that'll do it for this episode 79 in the books, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, and of course, let's go Rangers, baby.